After almost 40 years of marriage, you start to believe there are no secrets remaining. You memorize the smallest behaviors. The way they knock the spoon against the cup's edge, the subtle pause in their breathing that signals deep thought, the habit of shoving sleeves up to the elbows when a difficult talk is about to begin. For 37 years, I was certain I knew Richard completely, and I assumed he knew me just as thoroughly. But hidden truths have an odd endurance. They never disappear forever. They always rise in time. It started on a calm Sunday afternoon. The house was still, the particular stillness that only follows decades of shared routines. Richard sat deep in his favorite chair, newspaper open, his glasses slipping low on his nose. Across from him, I pretended to focus on my knitting. My fingers shook too much to guide the needle. The pounding of my heart drowned out the clock's ticking. "Rich," I said, hardly louder than a whisper. He looked up, and that familiar tender smile, the one I remembered from our youth, softened his face. "I need to tell you something." He folded the paper, set it aside, and turned fully toward me. "You sound serious." "I am." For weeks I had rehearsed this moment, in mirrors, in prayers, in the silent hours of the night. Yet when it finally arrived, the words stuck fast in my throat. I stared at the gold ring on my finger, worn thin and dulled by time. "There's something I never told you," I said. "Not because I wanted to deceive you, but because I was afraid." Richard leaned forward. His eyes did not harden or recoil. "Afraid of what?" he asked. "Of losing us." He didn't interrupt. He simply waited. He always knew how to give me room to gather my courage. "I had a baby girl," I whispered. "Before you. Before our life together began." The words hovered between us, light as a feather yet suddenly unbearable in weight. He blinked. "What? A daughter?" I nodded, barely able to form sound. "I was 17. My parents sent me to Ohio to stay with relatives. They arranged an adoption. When I came home, they told me it was never to be spoken of again, so I never spoke of it. But I thought about her every single day." Silence crept through the room like fog. Only the steady clock assured us that time still moved. At last, Richard spoke, his voice low and gentle. "Why tell me now?" "Because she found me," I whispered. "Her name is Emily. She's 40. She wants to meet me, and she wants to meet you too." He closed his eyes and leaned back, letting the truth settle. "All these years," he murmured, "you carried this alone." Tears burned my eyes. I was terrified you'd look at me differently, like I was damaged. He opened his eyes again. There was no anger there, only sadness. Sadness for the burden I had borne in silence. "You think I married perfection?" he said quietly. "Helen, I married a human being. Someone who lived, survived, and did the best she could. I just wish you'd trusted me sooner." A sob broke free, raw and uncontrollable. I didn't know how I stayed upright. He reached across the coffee table and wrapped his hand around mine. "Then start now," he said. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about the hospital, about the tiny newborn I never held, about the letters I wrote and hid away in a box, about how Emily's voice trembled with fear and hope when she called me. By the time I finished, rain tapped softly against the windows. After a long, quiet pause, he spoke again. "I'm not angry," he said. "Just heartbroken that you never believed I could love all of you." I covered my face and wept. "I thought I was protecting you." "No," he replied gently. "You were protecting yourself." The truth pierced me, because it was right. We sat together for a long time, fingers entwined, two aging souls who had finally exhausted their secrets. The next morning, the house felt lighter, as if honesty itself had pried the windows open. I woke before Richard and listened to his breathing. I felt hollow, but in a calm way, as though space had finally been cleared for air. When he stirred, I asked softly, "Do you want to meet her?" He rubbed his forehead. "Do you?" "Yes. I need to." He nodded. "Then I should too." "You don't have to," I whispered. "She's part of your life," he said, "which means she's part of mine." 3 days later, at a cafe by the lake, I saw Emily walk in. I recognized her instantly. She had my mother's eyes and nervous hands clutching her purse. "Hi," she said. Ibrata." My hands shook so badly that Richard steadied them beneath the table. "You look just like I imagined," she said shyly. "And you," I managed. "You look like home." She told us she only wanted to understand where she came from. Her childhood had been loving, but she'd always felt something missing. We talked for hours, about her upbringing, her work as a teacher, her 2 children, my grandchildren. When she showed me their photo, freckled faces and bright smiles, I broke down. Not from sorrow, but from gratitude. The life I thought I'd lost had found its way back. Afterward, Richard and I sat in the car, watching the sky blush orange. "She's wonderful," he said. "She is," I whispered. He turned to me and took my hand again. "You've punished yourself long enough," he said. I blinked. "Punished?" "Yes. You thought silence was strength, but it only stole your peace." My throat tightened. "How can you forgive this so easily?" He gave a small smile. Because you stood by me through every storm. Because we all lived lives before each other. And because I love you now, after everything. We drove home wrapped in a gentle, healing quiet. That night, moonlight spilled across the kitchen floor. Richard slipped his arms around me from behind. You were brave today, he whispered. So were you, I said. He kissed my forehead. You know what's strange, he murmured. After all these years, I thought nothing could surprise me anymore. I laughed, shaky but genuine. Turns out, I whispered back, we're still discovering each other. He smiled. Good, he said. That means there's still more to love.